All right, Bang Bang. Today is Wednesday. It is November 17th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. Joined on Zoom by David Hochberg. David is a mortgage professional from Chicago. Also used to do some ads with us, so we're familiar with him. David, what's up, man? It's been a while.
It's been a while, boys. How you guys been?
Good.
Doing pretty well. I believe he's not from Chicago, from St. Charles.
Oh.
Is that correct?
No, that would be, I don't want to correct you or say that you're wrong on your podcast, but that's
Cool.
an inaccurate statement.
Okay.
I'm from Northbrook.
Okay. Was it the other David that was from St. Charles?
Yeah, that's my partner, Hendrickson. He is Dave Hendrickson's out in St. Charles.
Okay.
This Dave Hochberg is from Northbrook.
All right.
Close.
Well, I screwed that up. And guess what, David? I get things wrong on this podcast almost every time I'm on it. So you feel free to correct me. We're going to say lots of stupid things. That's why you're here to make us to correct the things that we think we know.
So
Got it.
yesterday we got into the whole Zillow thing, David. What's your thoughts on Zillow right now? What's going on with everything like that?
My thoughts on Zillow is it's a perfect example of pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. They grew their business on the backs of mortgage professionals throughout the United States and realtors throughout the United States by selling them zip codes, leads from zip codes. And they were making millions of dollars a month on a steady basis, just having realtors and mortgage brokers pay for leads from those zip codes. Then in 2018, they decided to get into the fix and flip business and open up a mortgage company. So all the mortgage brokers told them to go stuff it. And they basically opened up a real estate company. So all the realtors, a lot of the realtors out there told them to go fly a kite too. So, the funny thing about an up market is an up market fixes all challenges, right? You can't make any mistakes if the market's continuing to go up. The challenge with Zillow is, and I know Chief and I have talked about it off air, is that there's a major correction coming in the spring because the foreclosure moratorium has been lifted, and Zillow went from making money to losing, according to the online article I read, $80,000 per transaction, and they were buying houses they couldn't sell. They were over leveraged. They saw the down market happening and they bailed. I don't feel bad for the corporate, the geniuses in the C-suite that made the decision. I feel horrible for the 2,000 workers that got gunned because the morons in the C-suite made a bad decision and decided to get over their skis and had no place to land. So those guys and gals got what they deserve, but the 2,000 plus men and women that lost their job, it sucks for them.
Yeah, I think the number that we saw in the article, and it was from the Q3 quarterly earnings report, was that they lost $500 million.
And in Q2 they wrote off $300 million.
Right. Yeah. So
not a good business model when you're losing $800 million in 2 quarters going into a downward market that we're looking at going into next spring. So yeah, I read that same article.
All right, and I know we have talked about this before, but every time you say it, my ears perk up. So you're saying you're predicting a correction in the marketplace, essentially, a collapse in the marketplace in spring of next year. Can you explain why you believe that to be the case, and then how people can prepare themselves for those eventualities?
Right. I wouldn't say a collapse because I've been originating loans for 21 years. I got in August of 2000. So I was in the middle of the collapse in 2007 when everything just stopped, right? There was just no money. All the money that was flowing through a 42-inch water main through 2002 through 2007 basically stopped, and we had water coming through a 2-inch water main. And so there were a lot of butts playing musical chairs, and then we ran out of chairs to put all those asses, and the entire market collapsed at the end of 2007 and 2008, and it was prolonged to 2010. The reason this market has been on fire for the last 20 months is for 2 main reasons: low interest rates and lack of supply. Okay, now interest rates have ticked up in the past couple of months. Out of the 2s, we're in the low 3s. Historically, it's still great rates, but everybody's still smoking the pipe, thinking that you're going to get a rate in the 2s. You're not getting a 30-year fixed in the 2s today. It's just that's not where the market is. Look at the 10-year note. 10-year note's trending up. So all of that inventory that didn't come on the market because the tenants couldn't foreclose on any of those properties are now going to be coming back on the market. All the foreclosures that didn't happen because we had the forbearance, right? What happened when COVID hit in March of 2020? Boom. What did we learn in 07, 08? Keep people's asses in their houses. We don't want them around gymnasiums with their financial information in tow, so the servicers could, after they sit down, lose everything, and then it takes people 4 or 5 times faxing stuff over just to be told they're getting foreclosed. So what did the government learn? What did we learn from 08? Keep everybody's asses in their houses, put them in forbearance, kick the can down the road. We started with 7.5 million Americans, homeowners, that went into forbearance. What's forbearance? Forbearance is the ability to not pay your mortgage, defer your mortgage payment until we come out of the fog. Fog started to lift. The forbearance is now ended. Okay, all the foreclosures that couldn't be, all the homes that couldn't be foreclosed upon, that moratorium has been lifted. We had a 20-month period where you didn't have any of that inventory coming on. So now basically, guys, what's happened is that we've gone from 7.5 million homeowners in America in forbearance down to about 1 million, which is great. Challenge is, you still got 1 million homes in America that are still having challenges making the mortgage payment, and a large percentage of them are going to lose their homes. It takes about 6 months to make it through the courts. So that's why I'm predicting, and everybody in my industry who knows what the hell they're doing is predicting that come the spring, come the summer, there's going to be a whole bunch of inventory coming on the market, along with the higher interest rates, along with inflation, right? Gas here in Chicago, boys, is what? You're paying $4 a gallon downtown. I just passed the gas station here in Northbrook. It's $3.38 a gallon. Last year was $2.01. So it's becoming more expensive, and that's why it's just common sense. Higher interest rates, inflation, and more inventory is going to put a little cap on the market, and we're going to have a market correction come the spring.
So I guess, like, if you are a home buyer and you're starting to look right now, this is a stupid question, is that if you're in the market, so that would make it a buyer's market, correct?
It would be, it's still kind of a seller's market right now, right? Because rates are still, they're not as low as they were 6-8 months ago. Inventory is still tight. But again, here, you've got a lot of variables. Why are you buying a house? Okay. I'm getting transferred. I've outgrown my house. Somebody's making an unbelievable offer on my current house. I got to get out. I need a place to live. Right. So there are a lot of factors that go into it. If you're looking to make a move, I think a buddy of yours had a lease come and due in June of next year, and they had the opportunity to break the lease early. And my recommendation to you for your buddy was, I think your buddy's crazy, and if I was your buddy, I'd wait till next June, right? I wouldn't break the lease now to get in. If you got it covered, I'd go on the apple water and macaroni diet, save as much money as you can. You know, your cholesterol and your fat level will probably go up, but you save as much money as you can. So when you can buy a house, you got a large down payment to keep the price down, to keep the monthly payment down, because your interest rate's going to probably be higher in the spring and summer than it is now. Right? But who cares? Your price is probably going to be a little lower due to the added inventory coming on. Here, we locally, guys, there's a guy, Grandview Homes, right? Grandview Homes, they buy home cash for your homes. If you've noticed, I listen to a lot of radio in Chicago because I invest a lot of money in radio advertising in Chicago. Their ads are on continuously during the Bears game, on every station. Why all of a sudden has Grandview Homes stepped back in the market? Why did Zillow get out of the market? Because there's a huge correction coming. Zillow wanted to dump all their inventory that they're getting killed on as fast as they can. If I'm in a lease right now and I'm looking to, and my lease ends next June, I'm not breaking it early to get into a house today. I'd wait personally.
Hey, let's take a quick break here because we got to talk about Gale Street Inn. I'm excited for some Gale Street Inn. I might get it this weekend, Chief.
You should. You should. Nice rack of ribs, the au gratin potatoes. It is, to me, like that kind of like home cooking, but it's from a restaurant, but it just feels like fall, and like it's almost like comfort food, but it is the absolute best.
It's awesome. The ribs are great. Obviously, we talk enough about the ribs, but they also got a nice seafood selection there.
Just hard to find in Chicago. And I was skeptical the first time we went there. The seafood's fucking awesome. Yeah.
They got the oysters Rockefeller that are back on the menu. They got crab legs. They're a house favorite. Alaskan king crabs as well, blackened salmon. The au gratin potatoes like we talk about. the racks of ribs, the potato skins, the French onion,
French
you
onion.
name it. Little something for everybody
Yep.
there.
And you're the French onion guy. How do you grade it?
It's top.
You've been saying that for years.
I know. I have to readjust my rankings because I had it. It was pretty close with a couple ones, but a couple other places has slipped up a little bit. Gale Street Inn has not slipped up. They still do it exactly right.
When it comes out and you have that like top layer just kind of charred a little bit, that like you're in for a good soup.
Yep. 4914 North Milwaukee. Great for date night. Go book your date night.
Little date night spot.
Great. It's awesome. Go make a reservation or go to galestreet.com. Okay, go to galestreet.com. You can get your carry out and right off there by the Jeff Park Blue Line. Ribs travel, so don't worry about that. You'll be good to go.
I want to reiterate the date night spot thing because it is like one of those if you know kind of places where you look cool when you go in there because everybody walk like, what? Northwest side, it's a little bit trip. Like you make an event out of it. Awesome date spot. Can't sell that enough.
All right, Gale Street Inn, 4914 North Milwaukee, excuse me. It's the best. Go do it. Go check out Gale Street Inn. And, let's hop back into the interview. Here's David.
And then how much, like the other big story, and we talked about it on a podcast recently, was BlackRock and companies like that, this angle where they're buying up these homes, single-family homes, suburbs, elsewhere. How real is that? And then do you think that has kept the market up to a degree, make it more of a seller's market? Like what's their role in this, and how would that play into this scenario for next spring and summer?
Well, BlackRock, multi-bazillion dollar, firm, private equity firm there, right? They've got resources coming out of their asses. And basically what they do is that they go in and buy large chunks of property at a discounted rate. I don't think there's anything been discounted right now, right? And if you're BlackRock, and you've got the opportunity to buy foreclosures in low-tax states like Florida, Georgia, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, which we're seeing a lot of our Arizona, Nevada, that we're seeing a lot of residents here in Illinois wig out because our government's so fucked up here in Illinois, right? Now I'm BlackRock, right? Where am I going to be buying up large chunks of property? I'm going to be buying it up in the South and Southeast, right? Because that's where everybody's moving. And are they going to come in and do something in Illinois? Listen, I don't work for BlackRock, but I'll tell you what they did in Romeoville. In 2008, Romeoville, back off of I-55, back in the day, they were blowing out cornfields like crazy in Romeoville. And you would head down I-55, and there'd be new tracks of homes every 8 months. Boom, right? There's another 80 to 120. Those homes are going for between $250,000 and $300,000. Okay, when 07, 08 happened, the people that were getting into those properties for 0 or 2-3% down with subprime loans couldn't afford the payments. There was no skin in the game. They threw the keys on the table and wigged out. Properties in Romeoville, the $250,000 to $300,000 properties in Romeoville, were trading for $80,000. How do I know? Because I did a lot of those loans. And HARP 1, HARP 2 came out, which enabled us to refinance homes underwater. I got those appraisals and I saw those appraisals. BlackRock came in. They bought up a ton of property in Romeoville, probably half the inventory for $80-some thousand. Probably got a break because they stroked them a check or sent them a wire. What did that do to the property values in Romeoville? Instantaneously solidified the market. What did they do? Because they got the property so damn cheap, they started renting them out and putting bodies in those homes to help support the local businesses in those areas. The restaurants came back. All of those businesses came back because instead of having vacant homes, you had bodies in there, you had families in there. They started going to the school. They started having tax revenue come in. All of that came back, and Romeoville, within a 6-month period of time, turned around. How do I know? Because I did a loan for a state trooper that lived in Romeoville. Okay, and he bought it at an unbelievable value. Then a year later, we refinanced him. The guy basically doubled his money because he bought it so inexpensively. So after BlackRock comes in and solidifies the market, they just don't dump all the properties that they have at one time. They piecemeal it out. And as the properties start increasing, they start putting a couple more on the market. And that's how they make their money. I see BlackRock as a good thing because they're a market stabilizer, right? They've got the liquidity to come in and buy a bulk of houses. So the question is, would you rather have those houses remain empty, nobody in those houses to support the local businesses? Or would you rather have a ginormous entity like BlackRock come in, buy them cheap, which enables them to put renters in there at a low factor, right? Because they're buying them at such a low price. Yeah, you could bring renters in there that or to live in those homes that are going to go out and buy groceries and go out and buy sandwiches and go out and have a beer after work and just bring back money within the local community. That's what it's all about. And then when the market solidifies, then they go out and start bleeding off those houses 2, 3, 4 at a time and sell them. And then the values go up and the market stabilizes. I view BlackRock not as a negative market factor. I view anybody coming in that wants to buy large blocks at discount prices with deep pockets and a part of the market that should be welcomed.
So where has that negative connotation come from with BlackRock?
Well, it's a big multi-bazillion dollar corporation, and multi-bazillion dollar corporations that are successful. I mean, look at your founder of your company. I mean, look at the nonsense that he's gone through in the past, week and a half or whatever it is, right? They have targets on their backs. Successful people, successful companies are always looked at. Oh, you're making so much money. Okay, well, here's the flip side. It's private equity. It's their own money. They're taking the risk of buying 100 properties, right? You just pick a number in Romeoville, right? That Romeoville market could have gone from 80 to 40, okay? And they could have lost their ass, right? So they took the risk of buying, say, 100 properties, right? I don't know exactly what the number is, but they laid out a shit ton of money, and they took the risk, okay? If you're buying 100 properties, you've got to have 100 tenants, okay? You have 100 tenants, that's 200 problems, right? Because if you've ever been a landlord, a tenant, for every good tenant, you got a bad tenant, and that tenant is twice as horrible as a good tenant because they complain about everything, right? So something's broken, you got to fix it. They're never happy. So along with buying, shelling out a ton of money, which is an investment, they got a huge return on their investment. Good for them. Okay, that's supply and demand. That's what built America. The problem is that, once again, the successful corporations that make a lot of money take a lot of risks and are looked down upon for taking those risks. Okay. And like I said earlier, I don't know if you heard it, but BlackRock, for all the $80,000 homes that they bought, that they sold for, 160 or maybe 2 or 250, that could have kept going south, and they could have had to sell those $80,000 homes for $40,000. Is anybody crying in their soup if they had to do that? No. They laid out the money. They took the risk. They stabilized the market. Everybody in Romeoville should be writing thank you cards to the board of directors of BlackRock if you owned a home prior to 2008, that they came back and stabilized your marketplace and helped you come back after the disaster of 08 through to 2010.
And are you, David, are you only doing stuff in Chicago, or where exactly are you, or are you guys nationwide?
Yeah, I believe we're up to like 35 states now, home sites in 35 states. And if any of your podcast listeners want need help with the mortgage, if we're not licensed in one of those states, I have relationships with, I've been doing it 21 years. I have relationships with guys and, buddies of mine, guys and gals, and that work for big banks that I could hook you up with that'll take care of your mortgage needs in those states that we're not licensed in.
How prevalent right now is the flood to the suburbs? Are you seeing it as much as what people say, that people are leaving the cities and going to the suburbs?
Well, yeah. Well, here, when the pandemic hit March of last year, right, you had two options. Okay, you could either stay in your 900 square foot apartment or condo and drive yourself batshit crazy and reserve your time on the roof, right? Because if you have roof rights up there in order to get out of your apartment, because everybody thought we were going to die, the families wanted to get out of the city. Okay, the family that bought my house in Northbrook was living in a 900 square foot apartment off of State and Lake. Okay, in one of the high rises there, renting. Okay, they had a 3-year-old and a newborn. Okay, you can't. Trust me. I've got 3 kids. I had a 2,500 square foot house with 3 kids. It wasn't enough room. All right, so I mean, you're in a 900 to 1,000 square foot rental with a 3-year-old and a newborn and wife and a kid and a dog. you go crazy. I mean, you start talking like I'm talking, right? You start talking to yourself. So you had that segment that had to get out because there was no place to go, right? I mean, you couldn't take the kid out, walk him around the block like you do, right? You can't take him to the park because all the parks are closed. So that first migration out was because of COVID. People wanted open space. They wanted the backyard. The second migration out was all the civil unrest. I had a buddy I met for lunch right after the pandemic hit who was like Chief's buddy, right? Who lease was ending in next spring, summer. And he asked me, I'm thinking about buying now. What should I do? I'm like, you're out of your mind. I'm like, do not buy right now. Yeah, you're all the civil unrest, all of the, the migration out with the kids and everybody wanted green space. Now you got the civil unrest. The condo market in the city of Chicago is like catching falling knives right now because the values keep dropping. Okay. It will come back. I'm not saying it's still the city of Chicago, for God's sakes. We'll figure it out. You got the lake, you got all the teams here, you got the restaurants, you got the theater. It's not like it's going to turn into Detroit overnight, but the values of condos in downtown Chicago are dropping, and it's like catching falling knives. So if you're looking to sell a condo in the downtown Chicago, you're in a bad spot. If you're looking to buy a condo in downtown Chicago, you're in a really good spot. And going into what we just talked about earlier in the segment about all of the foreclosures that are coming up because of the forbearance is ending, I'm like, you just hold tight because that condo you're living in, that he's renting from an owner, you're probably going to be able to buy it for 10 to 20% cheaper in the spring and in the summer.
Well, that's really interesting because I think, the boys in this office are all kind of starting to look around a little bit. But it is scary with all these different X factors, and, you don't want to be buying at the wrong time. So,
but here's the problem, right? It's just like buying a stock. You always want to buy the stock at the lowest number, and you want to sell at the highest number. Okay, there's only one person that's going to be able to buy it at the lowest number, and there's only one person that's going to be able to sell it at the top. Mm-hmm. So, again, if you want to make this a long-term investment, right? The condo values in the city have dropped. I think they're going to drop further. If you and the boys down there think it's a good time to buy, then get into it now. Mm-hmm. Okay. And you're going to be there 5 to 7 years. The market will correct as it always does. Okay. What happened? COVID hit, people blew out, property values dropped, cratered in the city. Okay. What happened? The prices got so cheap, those people that were renting said, hell, I got money, right? It's COVID. I haven't done anything. The vacation I was going to go on, I didn't go on. I'm not paying for gas for anything. So all of that money that they had, they used to buy condos because it was cheaper than to rent because the 30-year fix is trading at 2.5%. Okay, so they got in at that down market. What happened? Prices, recovered and things came back. So if you guys, if it was me and you could hold out to the spring and summer, I'd hold out to the spring and summer. I mean, what are we talking about? We got 46 days, 45 days left to the end of the year. I mean, you're 4 or 5 months away, right? So if it was me, I'd wait. But if you got to buy, then go buy. You still got low rates. It's impossible to time it perfectly.
Well, Dave, thank you. We appreciate it. Some insightful information there. Where could the people find you and everything like that?
Yeah, it's simple. Thanks for having me, boys. I appreciate it. You can go to our website. It's the number 5, the number 6, my name, David.com, 56david.com. If you want to give us a call, it's 855, the number 5, the number 6, spell my name out, David, which is 855-563-2843. I think on Twitter, I'm at David Hochberg, Hochberg.
Awesome.
And I got a show every Saturday at WGN if you listeners want to check it out, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. here in Chicago, AM 720.
Cool.
All right. Awesome.
There he is, David Hochberg. Thanks, everybody, for listening. That's it for today. We'll catch you all tomorrow.